Republican Donald Trump and Democrat Bernie Sanders have shaken up the U.S. presidential race with decisive victories in the New Hampshire primary. Billionaire Mr. Trump is likely to get more than twice the number of votes of the next Republican candidate. Senator Bernie Sanders, who beat Democratic rival Hillary Clinton by a huge margin, said his victory showed people wanted real change. Both candidates are riding on a wave of discontent with mainstream politics. The aim of the primary race is to choose which candidates will represent the Republican and Democratic parties in November's presidential election. On Tuesday, Ohio Governor Kasich came second in the Republican vote, with former Florida Governor Jeb Bush, Texas Senator Ted Cruz and Florida Senator Marco Rubio all vying for third place. New Hampshire is the second state to choose delegates in the long nomination battle following last week's Iowa caucuses, which were won by Mr. Cruz for the Republicans and Ms. Clinton for the Democrats. The result gives momentum to the winners ahead of the next contests in South Carolina and Nevada. Mr. Trump's lead in New Hampshire is the first time the New York businessman, who has never held political office, has translated his widespread support in opinion polls into an election victory. In his victory speech, the real estate mogul congratulated Democratic winner Mr. Sanders but sideswiped that he wants to give away our country, folks. Mr. Trump, 69, has pledged to deport millions of migrants who are living in the U.S. illegally, build a wall along the border with Mexico, and impose a temporary ban on all Muslims entering the country. With close to 90% of the votes counted, Senator Sanders has a lead of more than 20 percentage points over Ms. Clinton. Indiana, the two-horse race for the Democratic nomination. He had topped polls in New Hampshire in recent months, but Tuesday's outcome is seen as a significant victory for the self-described Democratic Socialist candidate. What the people here have said is that given the enormous crises facing our country, it is just too late for the same old establishment politics and establishment economics, Mr. Sanders told cheering supporters. The 74-year-old has vowed to eradicate income inequality, provide free university education and break up big banks. Ms. Clinton congratulated Mr. Sanders, but said in a speech she would continue to fight for every vote in the campaign. Despite the setback, she still remains the frontrunner for the nomination. Ms. Clinton's campaign manager, Rubio, said in a memo that they expected the race for the Democratic nomination very likely to be decided in March. The former Secretary of State acknowledged before the polls that Mr. Sanders had a natural advantage in New Hampshire because he represents the neighboring state of Vermont as senator. Ms. Clinton, who has more support from the Democratic establishment, narrowly won in Iowa.